Welcome to the Book Review Podcast. Today, we're heading way back, like thousands of years into the past.
We are.
Not with a time machine, sadly, but using this really fascinating source, a book inspired by actual ancient clay tablets.
That's right.
And it digs into financial wisdom from, well, the legendary city of Babylon.
Yeah, and Babylon is just such an incredible place to look at for wealth. Because, unlike a lot of ancient cities built near gold mines or super fertile land, Babylon's wealth was mostly built on, human effort, trade, ingenuity, and a pretty sophisticated grasp of finance, actually.
Right.
And the sources we're looking at, they really suggest that the core principles, the things that let people and the city itself build up wealth way back then, they're basically the same principles you need to manage your money today. It's kind of amazing.
Wow. Okay, so that's our mission then for this deep dive. We want to pull out the really potent bits from these sources, the stories, the rules, these simple ideas about getting and keeping wealth, and see what timeless lessons are really here for you listening right now. Let's dig in.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the sources, they drop us right into this scene that honestly feels pretty familiar. You've got Bansir the chariot builder and Kabi the musician.
Mm-hmm.
They're good at what they do. They work hard. They live in literally the richest city in the world at the time.
Right.
And yet their purses, totally empty. Always. They're just sitting there, frustrated, looking at a few coins and asking that question everyone asks at some point. Why us? Why do we have nothing when there's so much wealth around?
It's the classic problem, isn't it? That gap between earning money and actually, building some kind of wealth.
Yeah.
And the sources are clear. It wasn't that Bansir and Kabi were lazy or didn't have chances. Nope. The problem was they just didn't get how money worked. They earned it, sure, but they didn't understand the basic rules for keeping it and making it grow. It was just slipping right through their fingers.
And realizing that's kind of the first big step, right? It pushes them to go find the guy who does get it. Arkad, the richest man in Babylon. And the sources, they make a point of telling Arkad's backstory. He wasn't born rich, not at all.
Right. He started out poor, just like them.
And he learned his stuff from this older, wiser guy, a moneylender named Elgamish.
And Elgamish gave him what the source basically presents as the absolute foundation, the cornerstone principle for building any real wealth. And it sounds almost, too simple.
What is it?
A part of all you earn is yours to keep.
A part of all you earn is yours to keep. Okay.
Simple, right. But Arkad apparently really took it to heart. He made a commitment. Save 1/10, just one coin out of every 10 he earned.
1/10, not like half or whatever was left over at the end of the week. A specific chunk.
A specific dedicated chunk, exactly.
So what did that do for him? I mean, besides the obvious tiny bit of saving.
Well, the sources talk about this immediate psychological boost, actually seeing his purse start to get a little heavier, bit by bit. It gave him this deep sense of satisfaction, encouragement.
Yeah, I could see that.
It wasn't about feeling deprived. It was this positive feeling of, hey, I'm building something here. A piece of my work is actually staying mine. Elgamish calls it the first cure for a lean purse.
The first cure.
And the source really hammers this home. That simple, deliberate act of saving. That's where it all has to start.
Okay, so Arkad figures this out, applies it, gets super rich. But the story doesn't stop there. The king of Babylon apparently noticed this big wealth gap.
A few very wealthy people, lots of poor people.
Right. And he asked Arkad, hey, can you teach everyone else how to do this? And that leads to the famous 7 cures for a lean purse.
Exactly. And these aren't like philosophical musings. Arkad laid them out as really practical step-by-step actions, things anyone could do no matter how little they were earning to go from broke to actually building wealth.
Okay, let's break these down. Cure number 1, you already mentioned it. Start thy purse to fattening.
Yep, back to that core rule. Save at least 1/10. Minimum.
The sources even use that simple picture. For every 10 coins you put in your bag, only take 9 out to spend. Leave 1 behind.
It sounds almost childishly simple, doesn't it?
It really does.
But the source argues that its power is in that simplicity and consistency. Just doing it, always.
Okay, so that's the foundation. Save that 10th.
It's the absolute bedrock. Because if you don't consciously decide to keep a piece, trust me, you'll find a way to spend it all.
Been there. Which leads perfectly into the second cure, right? Control thy expenditures.
Yes. And this one hits on a truth that feels so modern, it's almost funny. Our necessary expenses. They have this magical ability to grow and eat up whatever income we have,
Oh, tell me about it.
unless we deliberately step in and say, hold on a second.
And the sources are careful here, aren't they? It's not about being miserable.
Not at all. It's not about denying yourself joy. It's about conscious control. Budgeting, basically.
Yeah.
But they frame budgeting not as this like prison sentence, but as a tool. A tool to help you figure out what's really necessary versus just, endless wants.
They use that analogy about the pack ass, right? If you budgeted for a donkey.
Yeah. Would the donkey budget for jewels and fancy rugs? No. It needs hay, water, shelter, the things essential for its purpose.
Okay.
So this cure is about asking yourself, what's truly essential for my life? What simple pleasures do I value? And crucially, what are my worthwhile future goals? Then you make a plan to fund those priorities and stop the money just sort of leaking away on things that don't really matter to you.
Swapping the leaks, I like that. Okay, so save the 10th, control the spending. What's cure 3?
Cure 3 is make thy gold multiply.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're controlling spending, your purse is getting heavier.
Yeah.
But if it just sits there,
It's just sitting there.
right, it's not actually doing anything. The money needs to go to work. And the source uses Arkad's very first investment as the example. He lent some money to Agar, the shield maker.
Okay, and what was important about that loan?
Well, first, he got his money back, obviously important. But he also got rental on his gold, what we'd call interest or profit today.
Right.
But here's the kicker, the really crucial part the source points out. Arkad didn't just spend that profit. He immediately reinvested it.
Ah, okay. That's the compounding thing.
That's the magic. That's the children's children idea you see in the source.
Explain that a bit.
The idea is your original savings are like the parents. The earnings they generate are the children. But then, if you reinvest those earnings, the children start having their own children. Your money starts making money, which then makes more money.
Exponential growth.
Exactly. There's this story about a farmer who saved just a little bit of silver, but invested it consistently. Over 50 years, just by reinvesting the earnings again and again, that small amount grew into a fortune. The goal here isn't just saving. It's building an income stream that flows to you whether you're working or not.
Passive income. They were talking about passive income thousands of years ago.
Basically, yes, an income stream from your capital.
Okay, that sounds amazing. But it also sounds risky, which I guess leads to cure 4.
You got it. Cure 4. Guard thy treasures from loss. Perfect timing. Once you've worked hard to save and start investing, protecting that capital becomes absolutely critical.
And the sources have a cautionary tale for this one too, right? Arkad's mistake.
Oh, yeah. A big one. He was eager, He'd saved for a whole year. He wanted his gold working. So he gave it all to Asmur, the brickmaker.
The brickmaker. Why him?
Because Asmur was traveling abroad and said he knew a great opportunity to buy cheap Phoenician jewels to resell for huge profits.
Oh boy. I can see where this is going.
Yep. Arkad lost every single coin he'd saved that year. Asmur, it turned out, knew nothing about jewels and got swindled himself.
Ouch.
Big ouch. And the lesson Algamish hammered into him was blunt but vital. If you want advice about jewels, you go to the jewel merchant. If you want to know about sheep, you go to the shepherd.
Makes sense. Stick to experts in that specific thing.
Precisely. The principle is protect your principal first. Don't gamble your hard-won savings on things you don't understand or based on advice from someone who isn't a proven expert in that field.
Still incredibly relevant today with all the complex investments and, frankly, scams out there.
Absolutely. Do your homework. Understand the risks. Get advice from people who actually know what they're talking about.
Solid advice. Okay, moving on. Cure 5. Make thy dwelling a profitable investment. Homeownership, Babylonian style.
Pretty much. The source talks about the deep sense of security and confidence that comes from owning your own place, your own home, your own land.
Yeah, I get that.
It's presented as more than just shelter. It's a solid asset. For one thing, it cuts your living costs eventually, right? You're paying off your own asset instead of just rent to a landlord.
True.
And often, historically, property tends to appreciate. Plus, the sources mention something interesting. Lenders back then were apparently more willing to lend money for buying a home. They saw it as a commendable purpose.
Especially if you'd already saved up some of it yourself.
Exactly. It showed you had discipline.
Yeah.
So it's like this positive cycle. Saving helps you buy a home, the home gives you security, and they can help build your wealth further.
A foundation. Okay. Then cure 6. Ensure a future income. This sounds like planning for retirement and maybe life insurance.
That's exactly what it is. Thinking ahead. making sure you won't be dependent on family or charity when you're older, and that your loved ones are taken care of if something happens to you.
How did they do that back then?
Well, the sources mention things like buying houses or land specifically to generate rental income later on, or making regular deposits with money lenders who would then pay you back with interest over time in your old age, kind of like an early annuity.
Okay.
But what's really fascinating is they describe something that sounds remarkably like life insurance. People making small, regular payments into a shared fund managed by these money lenders. And if someone died unexpectedly, their family would receive a much larger sum from that fund.
Wow. That's surprisingly modern.
Isn't it? The core idea is the same. Consistent, small actions over a long period build up a safety net for the future. Foresight and discipline again.
Okay. And the last one, Cure 7.
Cure 7. Increase thy ability to earn.
Ah, so this one's less about managing the money you have and more about getting more money in the first place.
Exactly. It's about realizing that your skills, your knowledge, your ability to do something valuable, that's maybe your single greatest asset.
Makes sense.
The sources really stress improving your craft, learning more, getting better at what you do, staying up to date. There's a story about a young man who wanted to borrow money from Arcad.
Yeah.
And Arcad basically told him, look, before I lend you gold, you need to focus on becoming more valuable in your job. Increase your power to earn first.
Because the more you earn,
the more potential you have to save that 1/10 or even more, which gives you more capital to invest, which generates more income. It's a virtuous cycle.
Gotcha.
The source talks about striving to be in the front rank of progress in whatever you do. It's basically advocating for lifelong learning and self-improvement as a financial strategy.
So those are the 7 cures. Pretty comprehensive, but the sources don't just give us rules, right? They show them in action with stories.
Yes, and the stories are so important because they show the human side, the struggles, the mistakes, the triumphs, like Dabasir, the camel trader.
Right, he had a rough time, ended up in slavery.
He did. Bad decisions, debt. It cost him his freedom. But the point of his story isn't just the failure, it's the comeback. He didn't give up.
He had a plan, didn't he? A really specific one.
Incredibly specific and disciplined. Even as a slave, earning tiny amounts, he stuck to it. 1/10 he saved for himself for his future freedom. 7/10 he lived on barely. And the remaining 2/10 he sent back to Babylon to pay off his old debts.
Wow, 2/10 for debts. That's hardcore.
Totally. And the sources say he literally scratched this plan onto clay tablets he carried with him, like a constant reminder, a commitment device.
That's powerful. What's the takeaway from Dabasir?
It's about sheer determination and having a clear plan. Even from rock bottom, applying these principles consistently, even with tiny amounts, can literally change your life. He earned his freedom, paid his debts, rebuilt his life, and became respected again. The lesson is right there. Where the determination is, the way can be found.
Amazing. Okay, what about Sharu Nada and Hadan Gula, the luckiest man in Babylon?
Ah, yeah. That story contrasts 2 very different attitudes. You have Hadan Gula, who basically complains all the time and thinks work is beneath him. Work was made for slaves, he says.
We all know people like that.
Right. But then you have Sharu Nada. He started with nothing, faced hardship, but he saw work differently. He called work his best friend.
Interesting perspective.
And his story isn't about random luck, like finding a bag of gold. It's about how his diligence, his willingness to work hard and be prepared, positioned him to recognize and seize opportunities when they came along.
Ah, so luck isn't just random chance.
The source suggests good luck tends to follow those who are prepared, alert, and not afraid of effort. Opportunity shows up, but it doesn't hang around waiting for the unprepared or the procrastinator. So Sharu Nada's luck was really earned through readiness and action.
Makes sense. Being in the right place, ready to go, often because you've been putting in the work.
Exactly. It reframes work not just as toil, but as the pathway to opportunity.
Okay, one more key story. Mathon the gold lender.
Yes, Mathon advising Rodan, who'd just gotten a windfall of gold. This one's huge for understanding wise investing and, well, avoiding dumb mistakes.
He that token chest, right.
Yes. His token chest was brilliant. He kept clay tokens for every loan he ever made. Some represented successes, but crucially, many represented failures. Each failure token had the story etched on it, a library of lessons learned the hard way.
So what did he teach Rodan based on that?
2 main things to look for before lending or investing. First, can the borrower actually repay? Do they have assets? Do they have a proven ability to earn money?
Okay, capacity. What's the second?
The purpose of the loan or investment. Is it going into something sensible? a productive business, or some wild speculative scheme.
Then what should Rodin avoid?
Menathon strongly warned him, don't lend just because you feel sorry for someone or because they're family. Don't back crazy ideas that promise impossible returns. And always, always make sure you have a reasonable, safe way to pull it back again if things go wrong.
Protect your principal again.
Always. It echoes that fourth cure. Understand the risk, ensure there's security or a clear path to repayment. Make decisions based on facts and experience, not just emotion or pie-in-the-sky hopes.
Okay, so these stories, these cures, they all kind of weave together into a bigger picture.
They really do. And the sources actually summarize it beautifully in what they call the 5 laws of gold. They're like the distilled essence of everything we've talked about.
Can you quickly recap those?
Sure. Law 1, gold comes easily to those who save at least a tenth. Simple saving.
Right.
Law 2, gold works hard for the wise owner who finds profitable work for it. That's making your savings multiply. Investing. Law 3, gold sticks with the cautious owner who invests with advice from wise experts. Seek good counsel. Law 4, gold slips away from those who invest in things they don't understand or that experts wouldn't approve of. Avoid ignorance and bad advice.
Okay.
And Law 5, gold flees from those who try to force it into impossible earnings or fall for scams and unrealistic schemes. Beware. Get rich quick.
Wow. Reading them like that, they're just so clear. And yeah, totally timeless.
Exactly. The sources basically say these laws are unchanging because, well, people don't fundamentally change. That temptation for a shortcut, the appeal of a slick promise, the sheer difficulty of being disciplined day after day.
That was true then, it's true now.
Precisely.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for you listening? For Bansier and Cobby back then, and for anyone today maybe feeling that same pinch, that empty purse frustration, these ancient writings, they offered this surprisingly straightforward roadmap, don't they? It's not some secret code or a lottery ticket.
Not at all. It's about basic discipline, isn't it? Pay yourself first that tenth. Spend less than you earn. Control those expenses. Make your savings work. Invest wisely. Protect what you've built. Guard against loss. Plan for the future. Ensure that income. And keep getting better. Increase your ability to earn more in the first place.
Simple steps.
Simple steps. But maybe the deepest insight here, the thing that really hits home across all these centuries, is that knowing the rules, that's the easy part. The real challenge, the timeless human struggle, is actually doing it consistently. Fighting off our own desire for instant gratification, overcoming procrastination, resisting those tempting but foolish opportunities.
Yeah.
The wisdom lasted because the struggle to actually live by it is just as enduring.
That's powerful. This has been really eye-opening, digging into wisdom literally etched in clay thousands of years ago. A reminder that the path was there all along.
And these stories, kept alive for so long, they offer this incredible promise, don't they? That no matter where you start, applying these simple, steady principles can lead to financial security, to a life of competence, and, yeah, self-respect. It really makes you wonder, if these basic rules built fortunes in ancient Babylon, what's really stopping you right now from using them to build your future?
Something to really think about. Which one of those laws could you start putting into practice today? Maybe just that first one. Start thy purse to fattening. It could be the first step in a whole new story for you. Thanks for listening to the Book Review Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a comment. See you next time.